Hello everyone, my name is Abu Bakr Salim and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about nested loop structure in C language. Now, nested loop structure is a loop inside a loop, and there is a syntax that I have written here in which you can see a loop, an outer while loop, and in that outer while loop, there is an inner loop. So whenever in a program this structure is seen, it means that we are using nested loop in that program. Now, this is a conceptual thing that we cannot understand without examples. So we'll be discussing different examples in this video to understand the concept of nested loop. The first example that we are going to discuss is to print the sequence that you can see on the screen. Now in this sequence, we have to print a sequence of stars in which there are first six stars in the first row, then there are six stars in the second row, and then there are six stars in the third row. Same is in the fourth and in the fifth row. So there are total 5 rows, and every row contain six stars. So to solve this program, we'll be using nested loop. So let's get started. So let's suppose we want to print 5 stars or 6 stars in a single line. So how can we do that? We can do that by using a loop. As we have discussed in the previous programs and previous videos, that whenever we want to repeat a specific task, we use a loop. Similarly, if we want to print 6 stars on a single line, we can do it using a simple loop. So I'm going to use a loop for that. First of all, I'm going to create a variable and I'm going to name that variable I, and I'm going to assign it a value of 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, print 6 stars in one row, and I'll be using while loop for this. So while loop, the condition is going to be, since we have to print this star 6 times, so I'll be using I is less than equal to 6. Now we have to print star. So for that we'll be using printf statement, and we'll be printing static in that statement, and we'll be increasing the value of variable I by 1 unit. Now when I will run this program, you'll see an output on the screen, and in that output you'll see 6 stars that will be printed on the console output screen. It's taking some time, but it will be displayed into shortly. Yeah. So now you can see that there are 6 stars in the first row. But what we have to do is we have to print 6 stars in 5 rows. Every row must contain 6 stars. So in that case, we have to use a nested loop. So to do that, I'll be using another loop. Let's say I am going to create a variable. I'm going to name it j, and I'm going to name it assign it a value of 1, or I can say it outer, so that you will understand what it is doing. So this is the outer loop, loop controlling variable, which will be controlling the outer loop. So whenever I have to repeat something again and again, I use a loop. So when I had to repeat this star sequence 6 times, I use a single loop. But now I want to repeat the loop again and again. So for that, I'll be using nested loop. So here you can see while outer is less than equal to 5, because there were 5 rows, so we are going to use this, and I am going to align this in this way. Now you can see that a loop is structured inside another loop. Now I will increase the value of outer loop after the inner loop value has been incremented and the condition has been false. And one more thing, let's execute this program and see what the output is. So when now you'll see the output, you'll see multiple stars, but they are on the same line. We want to print stars in different lines. So for that, we'll be using printf and new line escape sequence. There's an error. So new line escape sequence will be used here. And now when I will execute the program, you'll see an output in which a sequence will be printed. There will be 5 rows and every row will contain 6 stars. So this is how you can create a sequence like that. So there is another sequence that we can print. Let's suppose we want to print this sequence in which stars are decreasing. So this is the sequence that let's suppose we want to print, in which the first row contains 6 stars, then the value of stars is decreasing. We can also do that, but it requires a different logic. One thing that we know is that now the number of rows are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the outer loop will repeat 6 times. And one more thing that you can see is that in the first row there are 6 stars. Then in the second row there are 5 stars. In the third row there are 4 stars. So stars are basically decreasing after the loop has completed its iteration. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to assign a value for, I'm going to create a variable and I'm going to name it number, and I'm going to assign this number a value 6. There's an error. Let's remove that error by placing comma instead of semicolon. So number is a variable that contains the value of 6. And now I'll be writing I is less than equal to number. And once this loop has completed, we will decrease the value of number by 1. So now when I will execute the program, you'll see a different output, a sequence. And in this sequence, you can see that in the first row, there are 6 stars, then there are 5 stars, then there are 4, then 3, then 2, and then. Similarly, you can do different things here. Let's suppose you can change the sequence by just changing the value of the variable. So now when I'm going to execute the program, now the output is going to be different. And the output is going to be a triangle again, but this time the triangle is in ascending order. The stars are increasing while increasing rows. In the first row there is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, up till 6. So this is the purpose of nested loop. We are going to use this loop in different programs in future. Whenever we have to assign a value in a 2D array, 2D array is a concept that we have not discussed yet, but we'll be discussing it soon. So if we want to use 2D arrays in a program, we'll be using nested loop. So you have to understand this concept very well so that it will be easier for you to get to know about difficult programs. So I hope that you have understood the concept. If there is any question, please let me know in the comment section and please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.